Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. I talk a lot on this channel about toxic parents. That has somehow become like my main focus on this channel because I get real passionate about it, and I think we all just collectively really like to share in our parental trauma. It's like a bonding experience for all of us. But something I haven't done along those lines is talk about toxic grandparents. I think I've made one video about toxic in-laws, which kind of touches on that a little bit. And so today I thought that I would do that. I thought that we would sit down and talk about some toxic grandparents. Admittedly, I did find most of these posts in like toxic mother-in-law subreddits and on the toxic in-laws Facebook page because I was scrolling through them and I just found a lot of posts about grandparents. I just really needed to talk about it. The focus of these posts largely is about grandmothers and specifically usually with babies and how so many of these grandmothers are incredibly just overbearing and they cross boundaries and they are disrespectful and they have really large egos. And most of these posts also are coming from the perspective of a mother. This wasn't even specifically what I was like looking for. It is just the amount of people talking specifically from mothers about mother-in-laws was just much higher than anything else. That's what we're going to be talking about. I have a bit of a, not a unique perspective because I know there are a lot of people in similar positions to myself, but I have a very different position than I do when it comes to like talking about toxic parents because I am someone who grew up without grandparents. Both of my mom's parents died before I was born. And obviously I am from New Zealand. I grew up in New Zealand, but my dad is from here, from London, which means that his family was here. And his dad died before I was born as well. But his mom, my grandma, she lived here. So I saw her for about 2 weeks every 2 years from when I was born until I was 10 or 12. Then she got too old to travel because it's like 30 hours to get here. And I was also a kid before like FaceTime and Skype and whatever. So I did not know my grandma very well. My single grandparent, I did not know her very well. And then when I moved here and I was finally close to her, we got to see each other like 2 times before lockdown happened, and then she passed during lockdown in 2021. So I'm coming from a position where I do not really have grandparents. I did not grow up with grandparents or in that like big family sort of dynamic. So that is the perspective that I'm coming at this from. And I know a lot of people have very close relationships with their grandparents. And I know that a lot of people's relationships with their grandparents are like really important and key to who they are. So I'm going to be sharing this from obviously the perspective that I have and how I view grandparents and that relationship. But I would be really interested to hear your thoughts and people who do have grandparents as active parts of their lives, people with in-laws or whatever. Like, I would love to hear your perspectives on this as well, because it may differ to mine a little bit. And so with all of that being said, I have been blabbing for way too long. I'm going to get into the video. And if you do enjoy it, please do not forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I am trying to hit 500k by the end of the year, so I appreciate it greatly. And yeah, all right, let's get into it. Mother-in-law wants next baby named after her. I am very low contact with my mother-in-law, and my husband will communicate with her whenever she calls him. My husband always talks on the phone using speakerphone because he's always doing multiple things at once, so I was very easily able to overhear their latest conversation. My mother-in-law mentioned that our daughter was almost 2 and was asking when we'd be having another baby. My husband, the king of vagueness, replied, "I don't know," as a way to dismiss the question. My husband and I have fertility issues, and it's a major decision when trying for a baby, both emotionally and financially. He doesn't want her to know about any of it because she would be very overbearing and would stress both of us out. Well, my mother-in-law overlooked his attempt at dismissal and began trying to manipulate her unsolicited input into the conversation. Well, you remember before daughter's name was born, I was really hoping that you would name my first granddaughter Patrice after me. I was so hurt when my name just completely dismissed the suggestion. Naming babies after the older generation is a great way to show respect and honor them. You know, like brother-in-law and sister-in-law did with newborn niece. They found a way to honor both our family and her culture. fake gushing, and I just can't believe they named their daughter after my mother. It just makes me so happy. Insert random ahas, okays, and yes from my husband, as he's really not paying attention to her aunt. You know, if you have another baby and it's a girl, I really do think you should reconsider the name Patrice Michelle after your dad and me. We'd love it so much, and then we might actually have a connection with that baby. Oh my god. That's wild. The ending there, like, really is the fucking cherry on top of the cake with that, right? Like, I'm just kind of obsessed with, maybe if you named your child after me, I would care about her. What kind of ego? What do you mean? Oh my god. Being like, you know, we're not really connected with our grandchild. And I think that's just because you didn't give her my name. I like that. That's so funny. I will never understand this like family legacy bullshit. I think it's the most ridiculous thing ever. Names are your own. And I stand by that. I believe that like with my whole chest, right? Names are your own. They are like connected so much to your identity, right? Like you can choose your own name later in life if you don't like the name that's given to you, which I think is a very powerful thing. And like it is such an important and big decision when you do that, because you know that like it's you, right? Like that's such a center of like your identity is like your name. And the idea of like you being given the name of someone else to like honor a legacy or whatever, like it's baffling to me. It's so strange and I will never ever understand it, right? Like what? To honor your family. What do you need to be honored for? Like what have you done? What have you contributed to deserve to be honored by like my kid having your name, right? Like I just don't get it. I personally think naming kids after family members is weird. Like do it if you want to, but like it's 2025, right? Names are individual. Names are like, they are important, but like legacies are stupid. They're so stupid. Culture, yes, pass on culture, pass on traditions, like that sort of shit, yes, give to your child, pass on like family recipes and traditions and things that your mother taught you, etc. Names, who like go away. Your name is your name. It's weird to me to kind of like, what, if you see your grandchild with your name, that's great because then what their accomplishments are connected to you, your name lives on. What does that matter? What does it matter if your name lives on? Like, what does that even mean? What does that matter? I've never understood it at all. And I'm from a family where this is a thing that happens. My mom thinks it's stupid. My dad thinks it's stupid. But like, my mom's brother's name is Ken. Right? My mom's dad's name is also Ken, and his dad's name was Ken, and my mom's brother, Ken, his son is called Ken, and his son is called Ken. I think we're on 6 fucking Kens at this point. And it's just why? Why? It's so stupid. I think it's ridiculous. I don't think it matters. And I think if you're saying you don't have a connection to your grandchild because she isn't named after you, that's actually that is the reason you don't have a connection with the grandchild, and that's just because you're like a selfish, egotistical person who thinks that you are the center of the entire universe, and like that's why you don't have a connection with your grandkid. So like, I don't know. She took the baby from my child and said she was a horrible sister. I've got 4 kids. We're gonna call them Scout, 17 male, Rambo, 15 male, Baby Girl, 13 female, and Bubba, 3 weeks male. Scout is barely home. Rather go out and hang out at the Beltline with his friends. Rambo spends a lot of time in his room playing video games, talking to his friends, watching movies, eating snacks. Baby Girl spends time outside of her room to help with Bubba while I'm trying to cook, clean, work, do my hair, work out, etc. Bubba is very good, quiet baby, so all she really does is play with him. Now, this is a whole conversation in itself of like 2 sons going and doing whatever and 13-year-old girl is stepping in to help mom look after the baby. But that's not what we're having a conversation about right now. But I'm about to come in and defend her. So like, I just want to put in that I think that's an issue in itself. But baby girl decided that she wanted her baby brother to be smart before he turns 1. I told her that's not quite how it works. She said she'll prove me wrong. Baby girl is learning so many different languages now because of it. She's learning Spanish, French, and German right now. She'll say, I love you, Beck, in Spanish, Te amo, Baba, in French, Je t'aime, Baba, and in French, Ich liebe dich, Baba. I think that's so sweet. That is very sweet. That is really sweet. I love just like, yeah, this like bonding thing and being like, I want to teach him. I want to spend time with him and like make him really smart. I'm going to prove you wrong. He's going to be a multilingual baby. And in the process, it's obviously teaching her languages too, which I think is just really cool and really fun and sweet. She bought these baby flashcards of numbers, letters, words in Spanish and in English. I was so confused in a good way. Every time she comes home from school, she'll grab him and she'll sit down on the couch and she'll put him in her lap and let him see the card and she'll say the word, color, letter, or item. My husband thinks it's funny because he thinks babies can't learn, but I think baby girl might have a good idea. I agree. I think it is a great idea. Babies are sponges. If you're gonna learn lots of languages, doing it while you're like a baby is the best time to do it. Kids are sponges. They learn stuff very easily. Like, you're much more likely to grow up and be like bilingual if you were spoken to in different languages while you're learning to speak. My mother-in-law came by the other day and she saw what baby girl was doing and she took Bubba away from her. She told baby girl that what she was doing was wrong and she was a terrible big sister. I asked her what she was doing wrong and she said that a baby needs to learn to latch, roll over, sit up, crawl, walk, talk, and eat. Not look at some learning cards. Baby girl was so sad she couldn't help but cry. Okay, I'm gonna pause here for just 1 second because it does, unfortunately, get worse. But I just need to say for a second here, do people not know that like multiple things can be true? Multiple things can happen at the same time. Baby doesn't need to learn languages. Baby doesn't need to look at cards. You're doing something wrong. How dare you? He needs to learn how to like sit and eat before he can do any of that. Like he's still gonna do that. This isn't actually slowing his process down in doing that. Like, it's like you put a baby on their tummy, right? They have like tummy time. Is that like, you can show cards while he's like doing that. Like he's 3 weeks old. He's not learning to walk right now. There is no harm in sitting and showing him flashcards. Like, can you name me one single damaging thing about looking at some flashcards and how that would be having any negative impact at all? Considering babies learn like to talk by you talking to them, which is literally exactly what's happening. His big sister is talking to him, which is teaching him to talk. So anyway, I told mother-in-law to give baby girl back the baby and she told me no, and then my husband took the baby and gave him back to baby girl and then told his mom to leave, and she stuck the middle finger at baby girl and I almost threw my flip-flops at her for doing it, but I didn't want to cause it an accident by accident. Bro, can you imagine flipping off a 13-year-old girl? Like, this is a grown-ass woman. Has to be, considering this girl is 13 and she is the mother of said girl's father, she has to be in what, like at least her 60s. And she's here flipping off a teenage girl. She's flipping off a 13-year-old, her granddaughter, no less. For what? Wanting to spend time with her brother? The absolute level of immaturity, like, that's ridiculous. Oh my god, how childish can you be? I hope that there's been no contact. I hope that this is a no contact relationship now, because what the fuck, you don't need that. Your daughter does not need that. This poor girl just got flipped off by her grandmother for just like spending time with her brother. That's wild. So yeah, she needs to go. You'll notice that this is a common recurring theme of just like the emotional immaturity of these grown ass fucking women. Like, it's absurd and wild to me just how immature so many of these people are. Like, it's astounding. Such as this next one. Smoking mother-in-law doesn't respect my boundaries with baby. So I really liked my mother-in-law, but exactly the week out baby was born, her first grandchild, she started smoking again. Why? That's such an odd choice. Like, knowing that you are about to give birth, like knowing that there is about to be a newborn baby in her life that she wants to spend time with, and choosing that time to start smoking again is like the most weird, strange, like fucked up thing I've heard. Like, what? Why? What? My baby is really sensitive, gets rashes a lot, especially in its face, and could have many allergies because of family's medical history. For me, it's normal to ask before holding a baby, even if it's your grandchild. It's not your own baby. Fair, valid, true. Always ask permission. So the thing is, my mother-in-law just took the baby, and I couldn't say no, but it always hurts me, and I did not want it. And the worst thing is, her hands, her clothes, her hair smelled like smoke. Washing hands didn't fix it. I cried so many times about it until I started researching and wrote a little book about third-hand smoke and the dangers to babies. Then, baby was 6 months old, my husband stepped up and told his mom she must be showered and washed, hair and fresh clothes if she wanted to hold our baby. Such a valid rule. She did this one time. Next time she came to visit, and my husband told her right away, "Today, no baby holding, you're smelling like a cigarette." She played with the baby on the floor for a while, then just grabbed it and held it. When I got my baby back, I told her the baby smells like smoke. She told me, "A little bit won't hurt her. My children survived it too." I gave her the mini book for information and said I will not compromise on this. She gave it back, said she won't either. When she was leaving, she rubbed my baby's arms and legs and smiled ironically at me and said, "Now your mom needs to change your clothes." Hee hee, winky face. I cried afterwards. I'm so sad about it. I'm thinking about never ever visiting her again. I feel like she's really not respecting our boundaries. I mean, even her son told her no, and she went on. This is absolutely bizarre. This is such weird and immature behavior. What on earth goes through your head when you were actively told by parents, you smoking is putting our baby in danger? Please don't do it. And if you're going to do it, if you really have to smoke, make it so you don't smell like smoke anymore, because it is giving our baby, your grandchild, a rash. And we don't want our baby to be suffering from that. And for her to grab the baby deliberately and rub her limbs, knowing that it could lead to a rash, and being like, "Well, now your mom has to change your clothes. Haha. What's wrong with you?" Oh my god. Being you have to shower and be clean before touching a baby. I'm not going to compromise. She's like, "Neither will I. I'm going to smell like smoke and hold your baby, and I refuse to change that because I'm right, because my kids are fine. And your kid, who you claim is fine, is saying no." So grow up, man. Why did you even start smoking again? I don't understand the motivation behind that. It almost feels like it was deliberate. It almost feels as though she knew this would be the reaction and she just wanted to piss everyone off. And I don't know. What? These are grown fucking women being this immature. It's astounding. My mother-in-law told me to throw my 2-day-old newborn in the rubbish. Let me preface this by saying I do not post my daughter on social media. I do not have social media and haven't had it for some time now. On the other hand, my husband's family all have social media. You know the middle-aged women with the phone always out at events, always on live? That's my mother-in-law. Well, 2 days after my son was born, my husband was sending photos of our brand new baby to his family group chat, which I was totally fine with. I asked my husband to please let them know I wasn't comfortable with my son's photos online. So as I am laying in bed, freshly sliced and diced, my husband starts acting funny, walking to the toilet, saying his stomach is upset, and coming out with swollen eyes. I ask what is going on, and he says nothing. But I know my husband. Something was up. So I go on his phone and look at his group chat, and am met with a wee novel from his mother. Her reply to his message was to take my disgusting baby and throw him in the rubbish, and why would they even want to waste their time posting such a shitty baby? She goes on to call me a dog and say that I grew up poor. How dare I set this boundary? She then wraps it up by saying to go take your wife and your baby and put them in the toilet. Yes, there were no messages leading up to this. The specific message which was sent that she replied to said, "I'm gonna send some photos, but don't post these please," with 2 blue hearts. So there I was, 2 days postpartum, rage crying with a baby attached to my breast and a mother-in-law across the country. There is also a reunion coming up, which is her side's reunion, and I told him, husband, that we shouldn't be comfortable sitting at a table. His family are not welcome. Am I being unreasonable? No, you are not being unreasonable. Oh my god. Oh my god. Holy shit. I don't think I've been left this speechless for quite a while, because what do you mean that you send photos of your 2-day-old baby to their grandparents and the response is to throw them in the toilet? Sorry? Calling the mother of your son's newborn child a dog and saying to throw her away and his child is the most horrific, upsetting thing ever. Like, yeah, of course he went and cried in the toilet for a bit. Oh my God. What could possibly inspire you to say something so horrible? Like, okay, some babies are kind of ugly. This is true. Babies are fucking aliens. They're kind of terrifying sometimes. But you could give birth to the single ugliest baby of all time, and this would not be a valid response. Firstly, like, the cuteness of a baby does not determine the baby's worth, obviously. You should love your grandchild literally despite anything. This is a 2-day-old baby. What the fuck is wrong with you? We're ending up at the same place with every single one of these, and that place is, please never speak to her ever again. I think that that's the only real response here, because she obviously doesn't respect you as a mother, her son as a father, or her grandchild as a grandchild, or any of you as people. Actually, yeah, not an overreaction to just cut her off and never speak to her ever again. And also, like, I know you don't have social media, but like, I don't know how successful on social media she is, but if she has any audience at all, take it away. Do whatever you can to remove that audience from her. Get her cancelled immediately. But I'm assuming that she's like a social media influencer in the way she has like 5 followers and thinks that that makes her important, but you know. I had my first baby in January. My relationship with my mother-in-law was good, but after I gave birth, she became extremely overbearing and just annoying. This is some of what she has already done. Called her friend over so her friend could give my baby her first bath at 1 week old. I'm gonna stop there already. Point 1. What do you mean? What? Why? So like, your baby's grandmother called her friend, who's like unrelated to the family, to come over to give your child their first bath. That's the most bizarre thing I've ever heard. Like, without permission too. Like, why? What? That's so strange. Gave that same friend an auntie title to my child. Allowed her friend to accuse me of hiding my baby from her. Pushed me aside and took over completely during my baby's second bath. What is going on? Why is this friend here so heavily involved without the mother's permission or like consent to be there? For what purpose? For what? For why? For what? What? Called me a little girl and told me that I don't listen because I don't use a receiving blanket when I pick up my baby. Brings her toddler grandson into my bedroom constantly, and when I closed the bedroom door, she told me to stop closing the door. Came into my room while I was breastfeeding, saw my newborn holding onto my finger, and she pushed my daughter's hand off and told me, don't play with the baby while she's eating. Leave her alone. Oh my God. The absolute lack of boundaries and privacy that this new mother is being afforded right now. I cannot imagine how frustrating it must be to have like this woman come into your house and like barge into your room while your door is closed and you're having like a private moment with your baby, and she comes up and like pushes you off your own baby and being like, don't play with her while she's eating. She's just holding her finger. I don't know much about babies, but I'm like so sure that that's not an issue. And also, you shouldn't be in the room. You weren't invited. You weren't invited into the room. Fuck off. Oh my God. Her and her friend scolded me because I didn't put my baby directly in the middle of the week. Should my swaddled 4-week-old roll over and magically drop off the bed? Came into my bedroom to rearrange my daughter's things because she insists that she needs to know where everything is. I told her that I like how I have things set up, and she continued to move stuff around to her liking. I love being like, well, I need to know where the baby's things are, obviously. I think that mother knowing where the baby's things are is more important than you. Than you knowing where the baby's things are, considering this is, you know, her baby and not yours. So like, maybe back off and like take a step back and understand and realize that this is not your child. This is not your child. This is your grandchild. It is not your child. Grandparent rights are a privilege, not a right. Like you are in a like it is a privilege to spend time with your grandchild. Like you are not owed that. That is something you are given, and it can be taken away. Took my baby out of her arms, sat her in the boppy, and said, let her play by herself when she was 4 weeks old. Every time my baby cries, she comes and opens my door to watch what's going on. I once had her husband, her grandson, and her friend all at my bedroom door because my baby was crying during a diaper change. Oh my God, it's honestly really impressive that this woman hasn't thrown something at her. Like if I was changing like my baby's nappy and like they were crying and I had all these people just come and stand in the door to watch me, one of those nappies would be like thrown at them. They don't hurt. They're light. They're soft. They can be thrown at them. I think that would be totally justified, and I would let you have it. She allowed her 1-year-old grandson to come over with a fever after spending the night in the ER and watched him follow me into my room and try to come in. I had to turn him away and he started crying. Then she tells her daughter, the toddler's mother, that he's crying because I wouldn't let him in. But then 2 weeks later, she tells me I need to make sure the baby doesn't get sick, insinuating that I don't dress her properly for the weather, which was not true. Bro, this woman, the audacity to bring a kid who was in the ER into this house to be near a baby and then be like, hey, your kid's gonna get sick if you're not careful. Violence is not the answer, but like you're pushing me to the edge. I'm not even in this situation, but like I cannot imagine being in this like environment where you have like a new baby and you're a new mother, and that's already stressful enough, and you have all these hormones, and then at the same time you have this fucking woman doing all of this. Like, ooh, I understand if there's like a lot of rage that one day it cannot be contained. Like, my mother-in-law and father-in-law kept yelling at me that I've spoiled the baby and that's why she doesn't like to be put down. Yeah, and that explains why your son's head back is so flat. Told me that I was wasting diapers because I was changing them before they're well soiled. Recently, last night, my baby was crying inconsolably. Like always, she decided to mind my business by coming into my room and saying that I am overfeeding my baby, which is why she's crying. First of all, my baby had trapped gas. She let out 2 giant burps as I held her and then fell asleep. So no, she's not overfed. I'm just sick and tired of her. My boyfriend said he understands how I feel, but he does feel away slightly because they're still her grandparents. But I honestly wouldn't care if they never saw her again. I can't imagine my daughter watching her grandparents patronize me when she's old enough to understand, which is so fair. There are so many like partners in these who are kind of like just being like, she means well, they mean well. Like, it's not with bad intentions. She's not trying to do this. It's like, but she is doing that though. Like, intention doesn't matter. It's what's happening. And if you are standing back and watching this happen because it's good intentions, you are part of the problem. Call out that behavior. Stand up for your partner. Stand up for the mother of your child. Because this is also going to impact your children too. Not only is this having negative impacts on your partner and the mother of your child, it is also going to be having an impact on your child and also on your relationship. Being like, it's their grandparents. Like, I don't want to interfere. Like, you know, they have to have a relationship because they're grandparents. They don't have to have a relationship. Your kids will be totally fine without grandparents in their life. I promise they'll be totally fine. And these grandparents need to understand that they're like seeing their grandkids and being an active part of their life is a privilege. It is not a right. Like, they need to know that if they step out of line, that privilege can be taken away from them. And a lot of these like grandparents are like, they're holding the kids over my head. They're using them as leverage to like manipulate me. It's like, it's not manipulation. Like, asking you to respect boundaries is not manipulation. It's very reasonable to be like, if you don't respect my boundaries as a parent, if you are going against my wishes for how I want to raise my child, and you are mistreating my child or treating my child in a way that I am not okay with, I think that it's very fair for them to then be like, you do not have access to this child until you learn to respect me and them. That's fair. That's not manipulation. That is setting a boundary. And if you want access to that grandchild again, it's really, really easy to do. It's called just being respectful and not crossing boundaries. That's literally it. The child is not being used against you. You've just been told to be respectful. That's literally it. If you want those, like the access to your grandchild back, be a respectful person. Be a good grandparent. That's it. Story time. So my baby daddy of 1 month and boyfriend of 7 years is an only child. Ergo, he's spoiled rotten and a mama's boy. He'd let her get away with doing and saying anything, whether it was about me or him. However, once we had our baby girl, that all stopped. She kept telling me how I should raise my baby and giving backhanded compliments, etc. One day, I almost slapped her because she bought formula knowing my girl is exclusively breastfed. Made her bottle, then tried to lie to me saying, feed this to her. I defrosted your breast milk. This is something that happens so much. Like, so many of these like grandparents just like lie. They just straight up lie and think that they know what's best for these grandchildren. They're like, effectively like, I was a mother before, so I know what I'm doing. It's like, you were a first-time mother too. Maybe you fucked up a lot. Like, you know? I see the powder on the bottle and throw it across the room and whip my tit out for my baby. That's kind of iconic. I'm kind of obsessed with like being handed a bottle and like being told it's breast milk. I promise, I defrosted your breast milk. And then realizing it's formula, so you throw it across the room and like make a show of like pulling out your boob and like to latch your baby. That's iconic. I'm obsessed with that, as you should. She then calls me ungrateful, disrespectful, and a bad mom because I wasted formula when there's so many people looking for it. No, you wasted formula because you bought the formula and made a bottle even though you know that this baby is breastfed only and doesn't drink formula. So that was on you. You did the bad thing here. Keep in mind, my boyfriend believes she says shit, but has never physically heard it himself, just me saying it. I then asked her why it's so imperative to her that I feed my baby formula, when her pediatrician said specifically that she's doing fantastic without it. And she said, so I can feed her too and post on my Facebook that I'm feeding her because look like I'm a bad grandma. You don't know how to be a mother yet because this is your first one. You're not doing a good job if she only eats like all the time. That's so funny and so ridiculous. I love just being like, I want your daughter to be fed formula so I can feed her. Not for like bonding or anything, but specifically to post photos on Facebook of feeding this baby, being like, see, I'm a good grandma. No, you're not. No, you're not. I think actually you'd look like a better grandma, like not posting photos of doing something that the mother of the child doesn't want. And also, if you can defrost breast milk and put it in a bottle, then why do you need the formula? You can actually just defrost breast milk and feed the baby with a bottle and then post those photos on Facebook. Not that that should be a motivation to do it anyway, but like it's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Social media has like, it's really done a number. We're having grandparents say to throw grandbabies in the toilet. We're having grandparents lie to mothers to feed them by bottle to post photos on Facebook. Like, we've lost the plot. We have completely lost the plot. This one is the first one that is not actually about a baby. Am I the asshole for treating my grandchildren differently? I don't use the internet much, but I really needed an unbiased opinion and someone suggested I tried this forum. I have 2 adult children and 3 grandchildren who are teenagers/young adults. I did not like the woman my son married, and I felt like he tried to pressure me into having a relationship with her that I didn't want. Then my granddaughter was born, and my daughter-in-law had a lot of rules regarding the baby. I feel like if you constantly have to compromise and follow someone else's rules, then the relationship is very fake, so I wasn't interested in being close to any of them. My daughter also had a child around the same time, but she wasn't so uptight, so I bonded more with her child. What a fucking start to this. Oh my god, I'm obsessed with being like, my husband had this partner, and he was trying to force me to bond with her, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to get to know her. I didn't like her. So like I made zero effort, and I just like don't know why he wanted me to have a relationship with her, even though they're like married and like have a kid. I don't know why he wanted me to like talk to her. And then like they have a kid and being like, she had too many rules around her baby. There were too many rules. Like, I don't want to follow any rules. Why would I want to follow rules? I want to do what I want. I'm a grandparent. I should be able to do what I want. You're already the asshole. Without reading anything else, you are a bad parent. You don't respect boundaries or rules, or like you just are a bad person. So without finishing, you are the asshole. Carrying on though, my son and daughter-in-law later had a son, and my daughter-in-law frequently complained that my husband and I favored our daughter's children. I tried to tell her that she is too uptight, and I'm not her unpaid nanny who is going to follow all of her rules. The last straw was when she had a fight with my brother at Thanksgiving. She tried to make me choose between my son and grandkids and my brother. So I pretty much told her that she can leave and never invited them to another holiday. The relationship died out naturally in the next couple of years. I just distanced myself until she sent me a message that I'm an evil bitch and they never wanted to see me again. Now my grandchildren are 18, 17, and 15. I've bought the 17-year-old a car and plan on paying for her college fully. I also paid for her private high school and have taken her on many trips. My 18-year-old granddaughter recently reached out and is very upset that her mother kept her away from the family money. She broke down in tears about not having the advantages her cousin did. I could very easily buy her a car and pay for a fancy education. Son and daughter-in-law have some savings, but she has to go to a state school. But she is, at this point, a stranger to me. And I feel like if I do that, I'm helping my son financially, which isn't something I want to do. She said we can't have a relationship when I treat her and her cousin so differently. But I haven't seen her in 13 years, so of course I'm treating them differently right now. Oh my god. It's baffling to me, like so baffling to me that like people view like disconnect as like that means they don't care at all about them. Like, you have a grandchild who didn't have a say in not speaking to you, for the record, either, right? Like, it wasn't her decision. It was the right decision, clearly, but like this grandchild had nothing to do with that, like, at all. And they find out, you know, that like they have like a cousin who gets all this stuff from their grandparent, and they're like, oh, I'm upset that I'm missing out on that. Like, it just doesn't really feel that fair. And then coming in and being like, well, I don't give a shit about you. I don't care about this kid because they're strangers to me. I haven't seen them in like 13 years, so what does it matter? Why do I give a fuck? I don't care what happens to them. I don't want to give them any money or support them in any way because like I am mad at my son and I don't want to help him, so I'm not going to support his daughter. Like, that is still your grandchild. It's wild to me that you can just like not care, you know? This is the thing that I get with like estranged parents and things in general, and how you can tell like the line and like the levels of like love and stuff that exist within relationships, and like you can pick out why people are estranged and things from how they act when they are. Not having a relationship with your grandchild leading to you then just not caring about them is just, it's just beyond me, right? Like, I just feel in general, if I had a kid or a grandkid, even if they weren't in my life, I would still want them to be happy, because that's what it means to be family. Like I said, right? Like, I didn't know my grandparents. Like, I barely knew my grandma, but I know that she cared about me and she loved me, and she still like, I still got sent like birthday presents and like things like that, right? She was still like a part of my life, even though I didn't know her or really ever talk to her or anything. And like, even if there's like no separate, like even if we aren't in conversation with each other, like, it's wild to me to just not care because you're mad at your son. Like, your son hurt you, and the way he hurt you was he stood up for himself when you hurt him and his family. Like, if you are viewing family and love as transactional, you are doing it wrong. And I think that's the main takeaway I have for a lot of these situations. It's the main takeaway that I have for like all of these sort of toxic parent videos that I kind of make. Something else that I didn't really talk about when like looking at some of these posts, because it was kind of not like the main subject of the post, but it's kind of like an underlying thing of a lot of these. And there's a lot more instances of this happening. But the amount of grandparents who like prioritize their grandkids over their actual kids is so astounding to me, right? Like, they will hurt their kids or get mad at their kids for like access to grandchildren. They like prioritize like seeing their grandkids and being a part of their grandkids' life than like having a good relationship with their own children. They like will be overbearing and cross all these boundaries and like take over parenting roles and be like, I am actually the parent, I am better at this, I don't care about your rules, because like they like the smaller children because they have control over them, right? Like, they can get in there, get their little hands in there and like do what they want and say what they want. These kids are gonna listen to them, whereas they don't have that freedom over their like adult children anymore. And like, it's just baffling to me. The same with how many of these, there are so many like in-laws and things who like really want grandkids and who put a lot of pressure on having grandkids because they view grandkids as like the best, most wonderful, brilliant thing ever, and like they need to have them as though it's got literally anything to do with them at all. And I just find it fascinating. I don't know, this is kind of where it comes into like, I didn't have grandparents growing up, obviously. So like, you see so many of these people being like, you can't take my grandkids away from me. You're depriving them of having grandparents. Like, it's not fair to have them grow up without grandparents. It's depriving their life. It's like, they'll be fine. It's better to have like no grandparents than it is to have grandparents who don't know how to respect boundaries and are like mistreating like your parents. These kids will genuinely, absolutely be totally fine without you. Again, having access to your grandkids is a privilege, not a right, and they will be fine without you. You don't like need to see them. They can very easily be taken out of your life, and I think that that is like a very valid thing for parents to do if they think that that's like going to be the best thing for them, and they'll be fine. Right? Yeah, sometimes I wish that I was able to have my grandma in my life more, but like it didn't have a negative impact that she wasn't in my life. It didn't, like, my life wasn't impacted negatively for not having her in my life. My life, it just would have been different if I did have a grandparent. You know what I mean? But like, I don't think it's better or worse either way. It's just different. Anyway, I did not get through as many of these posts as I thought I would. I've been here for over an hour and I don't really know how that happened. Time kind of just goes away. I find it so funny because like, I did not used to make videos this long. My videos used to all be like 17 minutes. And now I sit here and talk for like an hour to an hour and a half, and I genuinely don't know how I do it. I'm like talking and I look up and it's been 45 minutes and I feel like it's been 5. So sorry for blabbing, but also not really. Let me know if you want to see another video about toxic grandparents. Maybe I'll go in a little bit deeper. I'll go find some like TikToks or go to other places. If you know anywhere to find some more grandparent stuff, please do let me know and I will happily have a bit of a look, because we need to talk more about this grandparent situation. Yeah, I do hope that you enjoyed this video. A huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: Polar Bee, Sienna, Alicia, Mirielle, Bree, Bay the Trucker, Chastity, Beckett, Prismatic Petey, Sushi Kawaii, Phil the Duck, Jessie, River, Queen Glimmer, Ella, Mr. Noodle, Radsack, Knitting Menace, Chris, Ellie, Alexis, and Bobby. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. If anyone else would like to come on Patreon, you go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the top link in the description. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.